Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video of me talking about the Composer app. I've been thinking a lot about new features that MSM Composer should implement since I use it way too much. Since I do use it so frequently, the app's lack in certain areas constantly become apparent to me, which is why I like making these videos. The hope is that these videos spark discussions and eventually reach the monster handlers so that we could finally have some Composer supremacy. Speaking of, if any monster handlers happen to be watching this, I just gotta mention that MSM Composer still kinda needs that new MSM text font, so I think it'd be pretty swag if you were to, do a bit of updating since us MSM Composer YouTubers are dying out here. Anyways, yeah, onto the features. Enjoy. So I made a video quite similar to this last year discussing a general maintenance update that MSM Composer desperately needs, and one of those categories was new features. I mentioned some pretty cool stuff within that video that I won't be repeating here, so I recommend that you check that video out so that you know what other feature ideas I pitched. Anywho, let's start things off with the first idea that I've been cooking up. The ability to copy and paste extended notes. Admittedly, I kinda stole this idea from when a pal of mine, Nutbread, commented on my aforementioned MSM Composer suggestions video. They suggested a handful of other good ideas, but this one in particular stuck with me. It's stupidly annoying the amount of time I've put into dragging out held notes for practically all of my songs I've ever worked on, so having some sort of tool to make this less grueling would be so welcome. What I put next on my little checklist is a better way to traverse the staff in editing mode. I hate the feeling of trying to scroll to a certain part of a track and then accidentally messing up a held note or even deleting a note altogether. In my opinion, there's no good way to get to a specific measure in an efficient manner, so I'd like to see the ability to input a measure number and then the app would take you to the beginning of the measure you entered. This feature isn't the biggest revelation in MSM Composer history, but anything to make the songwriting process easier is welcome. So, the piano has always been an infamous part of the Composer app. It is simply terrible if I'm being downright honest, so having some sort of feature that makes the usage of the in-game piano better would be amazing. Maybe there could be like a 3-second count-in, maybe a general overhaul of the piano's code so that it could more accurately place the notes in the spots you played them, but who knows. There's just so many ways to fix this near useless feature, so I'd love to have that happen. Alright, so do you ever want to hear how a part sounds with all of the other monsters, but when you add them all to the track, you literally cannot hear a single part of the monster that you wanted to hear? Yeah, I've had that happen a few times, and that's because audio balancing does not exist in the editing mode of the app. It really seems like an easy thing to implement because it really doesn't seem like it would be that hard to work out. I mean, sure, I'm no game developer, but it seems like a very easy thing for the monster handlers to do in comparison to everything else they've done within the entire MSM franchise. So with that being said, having this little feature could seriously help the future music production in the app, and it would make the app seem that bit more polished at the end of the day. And if this were to be added, I would personally love to see the ability to change the volume of the monsters within the actual editing mode, instead of having to exit it in order to change it on the actual island. So, let's say you've just finished a song in MSM Composer. You want to make sure that one part near the end of the song is perfect, so you go into presentation mode and then wait for a whole minute just for that singular part to play. Sure, it wasn't a big deal, but if you have to do that for song after song, it starts to add up. So, this is why I propose that the monster handlers make it more accessible to get to certain parts of a song within the presentation mode, because it would make checking for errors much better. Sure, you can check it while in editing mode, but having the freedom to view it in presentation mode as well would be nice for sure. Now, this one is a big one for me. Placing your own monsters. Oh my gosh. This would be utterly revolutionary. We have this on the Composer Island, so having this on the Composer app would make it absolutely amazing. The possibilities would be widened so much because we would finally be able to work with spatial audio, echoes, chords with more than 5 notes, you name it. Also, having room for new monsters wouldn't be an issue because you get to choose what monsters go onto your island. If I were to have the opportunity to choose any feature to be added to the Composer app, this would be a very, very tempting choice, so I'd really love this in the app. This one is also fairly important to me as well since it is in dire need of assistance. I would love to see a revamped song selection screen. For someone like me who chronically uses the Composer app, I have way too many songs, 222 to be exact, which span across 75 pages. You'll see it in a second, but it's so bad to the point that the dots literally go off my screen. Now, please enjoy the sounds of me pressing the same button 74 times. So yeah, needless to say, I really want a new sorting system. My hand will be very thankful. Now, my final wish is for remastered sounds for certain monsters. I'm not really expecting this to happen because it doesn't seem like something they do, but you know, all we can do is wish. Anywho, in my other video talking about My Singing Monsters Composer that I've brought up like 2 times already in this video, I listed out a few monsters that were not desirable when it comes to using them, so allow me to list them here. Cybop, Octopus, Moss, Sponge, Punkleton, Yule, Smoochel, Blabbit, Hula, Grumpire, Geo, Nebulop, Gelbilly, Eraculele, and Kazillion. The reason all of these are here are for one of these reasons. They are either out of tune, had more than 1 syllable per note, had a split staff, or just had a generally undesirable chromatic scale. If you want to know which monsters had what issues according to me, feel free to check out the video I keep talking about. I'm personally kind of proud of the video, so that's probably why I'm talking about it so much. Anywho, with that said, having those monsters remastered could quite possibly be a game changer, so we just gotta stay optimistic even if it does seem highly unlikely. But for now, those are all of my new ideas for new features. For all I know, I might be back in a few months talking about this again because I've come up with even more ideas, but I'm still really happy with everything I've come up with thus far. I love making these videos because they're a way for me to get creative and think outside of the box. It's also a really nice way to see what you all think, so feel free to comment below your own feature ideas for the Composer app so that we can all discuss it and whatnot. But as per usual, thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon.